Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Local Wisdom. I'm Justin Underwood, your marvelous mortgage guy. I'm here with James Douglas, my realtor friend. How are you this morning, James?
Good morning. Everything's good.
Yeah, it's good to be with you. We're asking the question, is there a downturn in the market? Are things changing, shifting? You know, what's happening out there in terms of sales price, sold listings? What is going on? I feel a change in the weather, my friend.
Look, I don't know if it's the change in the weather or all the numbers that I looked at in the last couple of days. My head is spinning.
Oh, man. I tell you, it really feels good outside right now. I'm so excited.
The 50s, it was great. I got out at 5:45 this morning.
And Origin, I'm tired. I didn't get home till after 10 o'clock. We had a big culture celebration at Origin last night. It was a lot of fun. It was in Ruston. And they gave
like
us
food.
They gave us hoodies.
Oh,
yes.
perfect morning for it.
I am so excited. I love a good hoodie as much as anybody.
You do. I agree. You do like a hoodie.
Well, James, I've often heard in my past world as a real estate appraiser that liars figure and figures lie. And it's this concept that, with numbers, you can almost make things look any way you want to.
And that is true.
And
I looked at these numbers a lot yesterday.
yeah, and it's like, what story is it really telling? And like, if you were wanting to create a headline, you could probably create a headline that markets up, values are up.
Values are way up in our area.
Yeah, and then you could be like, sky is falling, it's down, right?
Oh, yeah, because listings are way down, and sold listings for this month are way down.
Well, I think wisdom doesn't lie in a headline,
There
right?
you go. Yeah.
And so the desire isn't here to like give you this one big statement you can walk away with and kind of freak out one way or the other. It's really just to give you the wisdom you would need if you're deciding to buy, or if you're deciding to sell, or if you're just pausing for a bit.
True. I know that some people maybe watching have to buy or have to sell.
Right.
And so with some knowledge, you should take this into your
Yeah.
into this account.
And when you talk about markets, and we're looking at a market, and we generally pull numbers. I say we, meaning you do all the hard work here, right? Is that we're looking at Northeast Louisiana,
Correct.
and there's a reality that there are markets within that market,
Yes.
right? Lots of them actually are market areas, and so each one has its own kind of economy that's going on, its own, up or down or stable.
And that's true. And for the most part today, we probably will just talk in general about Northeast Louisiana.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, if you feel it, if your experience is different than what we're sharing, just know that we're painting with a little bit of a broader stroke to reach most people.
well, sure, because we would have to take weeks and weeks, and
You would have to hire a professional real estate appraiser to give you an estimate of market value as of a specific date
on a specific house.
on a specific house. And look,
and then
that's not happening this morning.
no, it's not. But there are a lot of things going on in the market, and I mean, they've been talked about ad nausea about COVID and what was going on even prior to COVID, right? Prior to COVID. And most of you have probably, you've seen and heard and all that. And then we have inflation, what's happened in the economy as a whole in general. It's affecting, obviously, real estate market, and it's affecting Northeast Louisiana. And we're just going to talk about what's happening.
Let's do it, man. Let's get into it. So how are we measuring this conversation of, is the market up or down?
Well, obviously, there's numbers.
Yep.
But there's a lot of different numbers and a lot of different ways you can look at it. And one way is just pricing.
Yeah. Like,
Just-
what are houses selling for on average?
So let me give you a number.
Okay.
The median price of a sold home by Northeast Louisiana realtors in 2019.
Median meaning the middle, right?
Yes, so let me define that term just different than average. Average would, you'd add up every single property that's sold and then divide it by the number.
And your outliers can skew that.
Right, so if we have a $3.5 million home in that, it pulls the number up. So the median kind of takes out that, and it lays all the numbers out in sequential.
Yeah.
And then it picks the middle number.
The middle number. Love it.
So it actually is a much more, for most people, it's a better indicator of what's actually
Yeah,
going on.
and in the professional valuing world of appraisers, they prefer, well, we always preferred mode, which is most, but that can be difficult. But median becomes your next choice.
Correct. So the median price of a home sold in 2019, $167,000.
Yeah, I felt it back then.
Yeah. But actually, for the preceding years,
Yeah.
it was almost the same.
Right.
Like it didn't change that much. Like there was a very small gap. I mean,
Yeah, and for context from interest rate standpoint, in 2019, we were still in some fives, and if you were good, you were high fours.
right.
2018, it was well into the fives, and if you didn't have,
It's not much
good credit,
different than
was
what it
six.
is today.
It's not terribly different, is my point.
Right. It's not that much different. So far,
Yeah.
and I haven't told Justin this number.
Oh,
yet. So what would you think in your just guess?
Mhm.
I mean, you have an educated guess, obviously, but what would you think the median price of a home sold this year?
well, my numbers that I see is around $240,000 is our average loan amount.
Right. And that's average, and that would be really close to the average. But the median's 207.
207?
Yes.
Wow, I am shocked by that number.
So, but that's $40,000 more than it was in 2019. That's a 24% increase in 3 years.
Should have bought more houses in 2019.
Yeah, you should have. If you need to buy a house, please call me.
Yeah.
And because these numbers, like this, we're not
Yeah,
twisting anything. This is actual.
right.
And so 167 to 207, $40,000, 24% increase
That's
over
a-
2019.
That's an average annual salary basically in 4 years that somebody would have earned in their home.
And so if you bought a home 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10 years ago, you're probably sitting on some equity that you may not realize.
Right.
And you may realize it, but there's definitely something there if you need to know about it. So
Absolutely.
so that's one indicator in the market. Like real estate is good in that sense. It's been a good.
So the headline
investment.
would be there. It's like market's up, numbers are good.
Right. That would be the thing to look at. Okay, man, my house is worth more today than it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And we felt that in the market.
Right.
I'm going to jump to a number that is, for you and I, we deal with a lot. Most people sitting home don't think about it as much. I mean, we talk about home values, talk about interest rates, but I think about days on market.
Yeah.
Wow. They have not, days on market have not gone up in any month since.
It's a real-time analysis, my friends.
Right. I mean, since, wow. Oh, cow. All right. So August of 2020.
Okay, so from the day it was listed, signed in the yard, online, listing agreement signed, to the day that it closed.
Correct.
So the reality is there's likely a 25 to 30 day-ish period where it was under contract.
Correct.
So whatever you're about to tell us, subtract 30 days from that, that's really the time it was on the market.
The average. Yes. So let's go 2019, almost across the board, every month there was, between 135 and 155.
Right, got it.
That average days on the market. In 2020, that went to
That's over 3 months, right?
yes.
Yeah, so just for context, because there's people who have their house listed and it's been up for 3 weeks and they're panicked, right?
Correct. But that people didn't panic in 2019.
Yeah, that was 3 months. It was the general typical marketing time was 3 to 6 months. So if you sold it in 3 months,
Oh yeah.
you were up. If you sold it within 6 months, you were good. If it was over 6 months, you were overpriced.
If
Right.
if you have an appraisal on your home, flip through it. there's a page close to the back usually, and it talks about marketing time.
Let him see for him. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody looks at it.
So useless piece of. Never mind. Let's keep moving.
Hey, I looked at it. It doesn't make most sense in most days.
The data just doesn't fit into that form well, but I understand what you're saying. That it wanted to understand the marketing period,
Right.
and generally, if it landed within 3 to 6 months, you had a marketable
Right.
house.
And so when we get closer to today, like coming closer from 2019, they just continually go down. Every month it is
Down.
dropping. You know, it's going 160, 167, 156, 150, 141, 135, 144, and then 140, 137, 120, 116, 97, 97, 84, 90, 88. That's the end of 2021.
Got it.
An 88-day average days on the market. 2022, we start out 82, and then today, or last month, in August, 69 days.
Which is really 39 days.
Correct. And that's average. That's even the
That's the outliers.
that's the including those properties that have been on the market for 1,200 days.
Right.
So the
All right.
the median days on the market is 51
51 days.
for August.
Whew.
There's a change.
Okay.
So far, we're halfway through September.
Right.
This is going to be, if it continues,
Right. If something doesn't shift for the last 2 weeks of the month.
then we're going to go from a median of 51 days on the market to 66.
Oh, so ticking up.
Correct.
All right, so I want to paint a picture real quick. So, starting in 2019, we obviously started getting more buyers, people buying homes,
Yes.
and that created competition, which means homes didn't sit on the market as much because you had more buyers than you had houses. That has appeared to continue all the way through to this year. More buyers, driving down marketing periods. Obviously, low interest rates played a role into that. Rates really, significantly began to shift in February, roughly, okay? And by shift, I mean, we're talking like 2.75, 3, 3.25, and they've shifted all the way till today where they're literally in the high fives and sixes, okay? And so with that shift, the marketing days held because, again, there's still more buyers than houses. But now we're feeling that maybe that's changing. What is having buyers maybe not as in demand to buy as there is inventory?
So we'll back up just a little bit and talk about just the inventory. There has only been in 2020, 2021, and 2022, there have only been 3 months where we have had more new listings than we did in 2019.
Oh, okay.
2 of those months were the 2 months coming out of our everybody had to stay home month.
Yeah, our lockdowns.
Yes, so that was June and July of 2020. So those months previous to that, like were really like
There's a lot of forces impacting this data.
right.
In there.
And so those 2 months would make sense, but after that, everything dropped off. In December of both 2021 and 2020, there was more new listings than there was in 2019, but no other months. So I'm going to take out the 2 months, June and July.
Right.
Really, there's only been one December in each of 2020 and 2021 that there's been more inventory than we had in 2019.
Interesting.
But sales have been consistent or higher.
Right.
And so that's where we're at. Inventory is low. Demand is steady. And so there's only a couple of things to do. Prices go up.
Yep.
And days on the market go down.
So if you were buying a $300,000 house, okay, from February to today, just in rate alone, your payment went up $500.
That hurts.
Same sales price,
That hurts.
but the monthly payment, they were $6,000 more a year, right, for that home. And that's going to and is having an impact.
Sure.
You know, I mean, uh, and obviously demand offsets these negative forces because there's just not enough houses. And the interesting thing is, without a housing building boom, I don't see that changing drastically.
No.
COVID created a shift in mindset for home ownership in a significant way because, number one, if you're going to get locked down again, which we now know is a reality, you want to be at home.
Yep.
Number two, we're working from home at a really high level. And so people now want to live in a place that they can enjoy from an entertainment standpoint, a relaxation standpoint, but they also need space to work. And this has them leaving rental units and wanting home ownership. And there are other forces at play, but so the demand's never been higher, you know, over the last year to 2 years. And then you add the fact that we had population growth in the last 2 years. And that is going to continue to drive home ownership because the reality is once you have children, school zones, having a place and safe yard to be, all these things start playing a role in your desire to have home ownership. And that typically grows, like first time home, second time home, you know, like it doesn't go away. And so I don't see demand diminishing at a significant level.
Oh, it's not going to, for sure. We saw the perfect storm come about with COVID, but it was already brewing prior to that. We have, and this has been talked about, this is not something James is talking about, but just in the U.S. as a whole, our population is bottom heavy. Our older generation is actually staying at home longer. With medical advances and the way things are going at home, our older generation are staying in their homes longer, so there's not those homes coming on the market as much. And the younger generation, our millennials are already buying houses. They've been buying for years, but Gen Z is coming on the scene. And they are hearing and seeing all of this investment stuff. They're
telling you.
It's out there. And so we're seeing 18-year-olds coming and buying their first property.
I have made loans to 19-year-olds to buy their first home, and we talked about this previous on the show. Young people see themselves as entrepreneurs.
Yes.
I mean,
It's great.
They just do. They see themselves as business owners. Social media has played a big role in this, okay? And if you have any type of entrepreneur mindset, more than likely your focus is going to shift really quickly to real estate. And so that's going to continue to drive demand.
But their numbers. Millennials are huge. My generation, we're small. We're little. Like when we came on the market, it wasn't that big a deal for the housing market. Millennials started buying homes, and
Good credit score and save down payments.
yes, a lot of the millennials waited and for a little while. Doesn't seem that Gen Z is going to be waiting, and so we have really new millennials coming on to buy, and these Gen Zers coming on, and we don't have enough homes in the U.S.
Yeah, I've said, and this is a little bit hyperbole, but if we're going to have a housing crisis, it's going to be a shortage of homes.
Absolutely.
That's going to be the crux of the
And there's
situation.
one other with all of the investors. There are a lot of more investors in the market today holding on to homes that are not, may never come back on the market for someone to purchase.
Yeah.
And so there's a serious issue, not just in Northeast Louisiana, across the U.S. With the need for homes.
With third-party rental companies like Airbnb, it turns your regular, homeowners who think, hey, I can own another home and it'll be an investment for me, and I can enjoy it some of the year because I don't have to rent it for 12 months straight. I can rent it for the weekend, for the days, or whatever, and so those homes are being sucked up, right?
Oh, it's a broad spectrum issue. There's multiple factors, and so the bottom line is there's not enough homes for all the people, but the pricing has gone up so much that there's a lot of buyers that are just.
Yes, I would say there's significant pricing pressure because interest rates are up.
Yeah.
And and you, if you're the seller, if you think you're not feeling it, know that your potential buyers are very much feeling it. These are the conversations we're having. We're having to consult in a way that says, hey, look, you have a need for shelter, you have a need for home ownership. If you're going to live in a landlord unit, guess what's happening to their interest rate? It's going up as well. So you're going to pay it one way or the other, right? And so you might as well go ahead and focus on buying the right house, not so much focus on buying with the right rate.
Correct.
Because I've seen people buy houses because of rate. They felt rushed into it and end up getting a house that they didn't want at a rate they wanted and realize that that wasn't the most important and critical thing. That's not to say that it's not important. Don't mishear me, okay? A good lender is going to make sure you budget.
Sure.
Okay? Make sure you don't overspend. The last thing a bank wants is a house, I promise. We're really good at banking. We're really bad at real estate, okay? But with that being said, your focus needs to be, what house am I going to, quote, marry? What house am I going to really connect myself with that I want to be in to raise a family, or whatever your housing need is, okay? And I'm going to date the rate.
Sure.
I'm going to date it, and I realize that if a better rate comes along down the road, strategically, if I'm working with a lender that's really thinking through my finances in a positive way, like long-term strategic, I'm going to refinance when it makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
And so this higher rate environment that we're in, you may only have it for 12 months, 24 months, because this is what happens. It just does. That's just what up and down is what happens in the interest rate world. And so there will be a down at some point, and you got to, be in the house that is going to be suitable for your family or whatever your needs are. That's going to grow in value over time. Leave it better than you found it. Take care of it. And then when rates reduce again, then that's the time to really focus on interest rate.
Yes, I do. I felt that from a real estate selling side, that there were buyers and even sellers trying to rush their home onto the market. And then, we have a friend that's living in a garage apartment because they rushed their home onto the market.
Like, I got to sell it.
But I also had several clients that ended up having to live with family, or make do in a rental.
I had a conversation yesterday, and I won't say too much because it's a small town, right? They were like, I'm going to go ahead and sell it because I know that it's a good time to sell, and they are now living in a camper where they hope to build in the future.
Okay, and that's fine if that's the way you want to live,
Right.
but
Jamie would never let me do that.
No, but we both know people that've done it.
Yep.
And
So I think the broader advice is there are good and bad reasons to do anything in real estate right now. It's really important that you're working with a professional on both sides of the equation, whether it's on the listing or selling and buying side, or whether it's on the finance side. Okay, don't do what a lot of these online lenders are doing right now and advising people to pay $7,000 to $13,000 additional in points to buy a lower rate, when the market's going to give you that rate sometime here in the near future, more than likely. Now, I can't predict the future, everybody.
Sure.
But just as history has it, so don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't throw away money.
And let's be honest, the rate that you're getting today, if it's 5 or 6, or I don't know what one might get, but if it's in it, it's still pretty darn good.
My first rate ever was 6 1/4.
Mine was 6.5, and I thought that I was getting a great deal.
And if you listened last week, you know that me buying that house was a real blessing for my family and I. The rate didn't change that.
And mine wasn't necessarily.
Work with a professional. That's kind of our point.
True.
It wasn't the rate that made the difference.
No, it was not. There was a lot of things going on, and one day I'll share my full story on that first house buying experience.
Well, James, we've gone long.
Yeah.
We got to get to this top 5, my friend.
Yeah. No, well, okay. So this top 5, these are actually a lot just average, lower than our top 5s typically.
Yeah.
And indicative of what we've seen over the last 2-3 weeks.
We didn't have much to pick from. You said only 29 deals closed.
Only 29 this week.
It was a short week. It was 4 working days. We had Labor Day.
Right.
And, you're coming off the end of a month. right?
Correct.
And so we don't want to we're not going to, this is not Monday morning quarterback. We're overreacting, right? You know?
Yeah.
So,
No. But usually you have 29 that just couldn't make it at the end of the month, and they get pushed over.
it is a
into-
really low number. I don't, again,
And so,
we'll react strongly next week because we'll have a full week after that to look at.
Sure. So, all right, number 5 is in Monroe on Desterhand Drive.
Let's do it, Desterhand.
It was listed at $347,500 and sold for $337,000.
Who is our real estate agent?
Marla McIntyre.
Miss McIntyre, congratulations.
Yeah, Miss
for
Marla.
making the top 5.
Good job, Marla. All right, number 4 is in West Monroe, Gretchen's Walk, right around the corner from Justin and I.
I may be familiar with this one.
And all right, listed at $339 and sold for $339.
Yeah.
The other one sold for $10,000 less than asking. This one sold for asking. Even in the middle of this, whatever we're going through, 99% of list price is what the average home is selling for in Northeast Louisiana, and this goes full price.
Who's our realtor?
Our realtor, Elizabeth Freeman.
All right. Congratulations, Miss Elizabeth.
Yes. All right, and then number 3, listed at $339,000, just like the last one, in Sterlington on Perrick's Beak Road.
Yeah.
But it sold for $355,000.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, Donna Mentor got that one sold. $355,000. It's a nice home. It's clean, looks good. It's a newer home.
Yeah.
But it was great. But again, here we are with something that sold above asking because there's just not that much
There's
on the
not
market.
enough there, but good job, Miss Donna.
Yeah. And then the next one is in West Monroe.
Number
on
2?
Ingram, number 2.
Ingram with an I.
With an I.
Got it.
Ingram. All right. And so Brian Bendeley and Linda Edwards teamed up on this
Mr.
one.
Brian.
Oh, yeah. No, Brian does a great job. It was listed at $375. It's got a pool, but sold for $368.
Okay, 365 was the list, sold for 368, so it went above list price.
Days on the MLS, 83 days.
Good job, Mr. Brian, Miss Linda.
Yeah, no, this is great. And then number 1,
Oh, the crowd is excited.
great job by Mickey Freeman again to
Miss
get this
Mickey,
one sold.
she's been in number 1 spot before, I believe.
She's definitely been in the top 5 multiple
Yeah.
times. So on Phillips Drive in Farmerville,
Oh,
it's got a Farmerville address.
the UP.
Yeah, it's more Rocky Branchish,
Okay,
but it's on the Washita River.
nice.
Yeah, no, it's a true 2-story home.
Yeah,
Looks out over it's a really nice home. Listed at $489, sold for $460. Originally was listed at $495. We got a 175-day market time.
these are unique properties.
This was very unique, actually. We've talked about water, and the river. People worry about the river and the rising water. I do not believe this home flooded, so I think this is a great property for somebody. But this shows if you have a realtor that got their thumb on what's going on, they're going to be advising you on your pricing.
Right.
We are getting, with days on the market like 60,
You're getting almost instant feedback on your pricing.
and that's what I've been telling people is we're going to know one way or the other.
Yeah,
We're either going to get a lot of people looking at it and they're going to be giving us feedback verbally,
Right.
or we're not going to be getting a lot of, and then we're going to know, hey,
if it's cold at all,
we
gotta
got to be on it quick. And so, good job, Mickey, getting that done. She does a great job, and she did it again here. So,
yeah, what a great top 5.
yeah, no, it's good, and I'm going to be interested to see what happens the rest of this month.
Yeah,
We're on pace to see some significant changes in the market, and so especially those days on the market, I think there's an uptick in that, and we're going to see some things staying on the market longer, especially if we are only selling 29 properties in a week. There's going to be a growing inventory. If they're not selling quite that fast, and with that growing inventory, we'll see what happens.
Well, everybody, if you want to keep up with what's going on in the market, be sure to tune in every Tuesday. If you need a real estate professional who really dives into the numbers, give James Douglas a call. If you need a lender, if you need a mortgage, or you want somebody to build a strategy for your home loan needs, please give me a call. I'm Justin Underwood with Origin Bank. Thank you for watching. This has been another episode of Local Wisdom, but as always, I hope you have a marvelous day.
We'll see you next week.